People think that at the end of days, Mashiach is going to come, and there's going to be this massive, explosion where there's going to be millions of Jews all coming forward, getting together in Times Square, and we're going to get on a plane and we're going to magically go to Israel. I think it's a brilliant concept.
That fact literally proves to me that Hashem exists.
Open up the book, read one story, close it, and you're inspired. He's giving us good tips. Next tip.
And that's how you create content.
It's going to change your life. One of the most fascinating things when I started working on the book was a clip that I saw from the Rebbe. And it's a pasuk that, as I'm interviewing Shluchim, you hear this pasuk again and again. Because you deal with so many Shluchim who are in remote towns, and they're dealing with situations where everything is about one Jew. It's about, getting one. And all the time, when we're doing these interviews and they're going online, a lot of times comments are coming in, and people are like, yeah, Chabad, they don't have 2,000 people, and the other shul, they have 2,000, people. And the Rebbe quoted a pasuk, which hit me, and it hit me from a whole different angle. As soon as I saw exactly what the Rebbe said in this pasuk, that it's about every single Jew. It's about the echad, one single Jew at a time. But what hit me more about that pasuk, and I did the intro of the book about this, I think is so much more powerful, and I think it's the greatest message of all over here. And I think it's the all-encompassing message of everything that Dollar Daily does, and I think what the whole Illuminations project and the book and everything is, when the Rebbe talks about v'atam telektu echad echad. This is a verse, this is a pasuk that's straight out of the book of Isaiah, Yeshayahu, and he says over there, to literally translate, and you shall be gathered one by one. The Rebbe, when speaking about this, there's a beautiful clip from Chem, and the Rebbe says over there, people think that at the end of days, Mashiach is going to come, and there's going to be this massive, explosion where there's going to be, millions of Jews all coming forward, getting together in Times Square, and we're going to get on a plane and we're going to magically go to Israel. And the Rebbe says, you're mistaken. That's not the case. V'atam telektu echad echad means something different, something totally different. What is that? What's it getting at? That at the end of days, Hashem's going to find Jews wherever they are, all over the world, and little by little, one by one, he's going to pick them up.
Beautiful.
That's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing. Because it doesn't just mean that Hashem's going to come to them in a vision and suddenly just be like, yo, I'm here, Well, Mashiach, what it means is something's going to practically happen. Something practically changes in the days before Mashiach, in the time of Mashiach, that starts to waken Jews up. 70 years ago, 1950, the Rebbe's Rebbe, the word, the concept, how anyone defines it, Chabad, not Chabad, of Kiruv, going out there, finding Jews, bringing them closer to Yiddishkeit, it was a non-existent idea. It was non-existent in almost the Chabad world. It was non-existent in...
It was frowned upon.
The idea didn't exist. If you came to a Chabadnik in those years, any Chabad guy would look at you foreign. It wasn't so defined what the idea of today. You have a mountain around the corner of people who are ready to go be shluchim, to dive into the sea of I want to be a shliach somewhere, and I want to be, and everyone's just sign me up, and people want to get involved, because I think that the underlining call of shluchos is the ability to be involved in a Jew returning to Yiddishkeit, and a Jew coming back home, a Jew coming back to Hashem and saying, you know what, I'm here, and you pick me up.
Or even for a Jew that doesn't know about Yiddishkeit, just the fact that they see you reminds them about Yiddishkeit, and then they want to, if they want to come, they know where to go to.
That is probably the Illuminations book that we've done. I think that's probably one of the most regular. Someone said to me, if you're telling stories of Shluchim again and again, the stories are bound to repeat them at some point. You're about to, And what's interesting is they don't necessarily all repeat. Every story is unique, and every story, but there are themes that repeat. There are concepts that you see repetitive from one shliach to the next, and every story is unique, and every story has its own unique angle, which is fascinating. Unique to the locale, unique to the shliach, unique to every aspect of that, how that story plays out. But what's really repetitive is the themes, and one of those unique themes is a Jew gets involved in one mitzvah. I'm top of my head, a story. Guy not in the book. A shliach in Japan told us a story. And
how many shluchim did you interview, by the way?
Baruch Hashem, at this point, I think we're about 110, 120 interviews. We released just right now, it's just under 100 interviews. So towards the end of this year,
what do you release it to?
So it's a paper. It's a paper. It's a PDF that goes out.
It's not a video form.
What? No. So it's a PDF that goes out every single week. We have an email list of about 5,000 people, and also every single shul here in Crown Heights. It's printed and put out in all the shuls here in Crown Heights. So you got it in 770. You got it in all the shuls in Crown Heights. And I go to a Hasidic shul in Tom's River. I print it out 10 copies every week, and I bring it. And people who are from a Hasidic home from birth, and they're not Chabad. Everyone comes over Shabbos. They're just like grabbing. They want to read it. It's interesting to read the stories of Jews and every single but. I'm just throwing this out to you. One particular story that comes to mind out of so many dozens and hundreds of stories in the book is a shliach in Japan tells me a story about how he was trying to get someone to put up a mezuzah, and they're refusing. They don't want anything to do with Yiddishkeit, and they're foreign to it. Somehow, some way, he convinces them put up the mezuzah, and they get a mezuzah put up, and suddenly a week later, I want to come to your class. I want to get involved more. And we have this pasuk that you make a little opening for me, and I'm gonna find my way in your life. Hashem says literally exactly. you
trying to find the wording there.
Yeah, you have to find that little opening, and all of a sudden a Jew they wake up. It's like
open me a little hole like of a needle, and I'll open you the gates of heaven.
That's exactly what it is, and that I think is the most telling story, is that people start adding a little something to their life, and the little something never just stays at a little something. It's gonna blossom.
You see that with our channel also. On our channel, we have a lot of people coming to Yiddishkeit from there, and
tell me about that.
No, Baruch Hashem. I'm saying we started the channel as just a Dvar Torah channel.
Yeah, I was scrolling I was sitting there and I was like, all right, let me see who I'm talking to. So let me scroll back and I'm scrolling and scrolling.
Well, how many videos do you scroll back to?
Oh my God, it was 10 minutes. I was trying to scroll to the bottom. All right, let me see where what's
it's a 1,000-something video reels, no?
Yeah, I was trying to get to the bottom of all right, what are these guys? Let me see the first videos that these guys.
First video you'll find on YouTube. The first video. It's a video I made at my parents' house, and it was about Yosef HaTzadik.
All right,
it was the first Yosef, and it was in Swedish. I used to do it in Swedish, a Dvar Torah video. And
is that what got you officially into doing videos like this?
I started a video. Well, I knew that the Swedish Jews, don't have
content
they don't have someone teaching them Yiddishkeit, basically on video form.
Yeah.
Right? How many people come to a shir? 10?
Yeah.
20? In the bigger cities in Sweden and Stockholm, maybe there's 100. I don't know. But in the thousands, there's definitely not.
Yeah.
So I made the first video, sat down, and it was a Dvar Torah, it was the Rebbe Secha. It was all, the Rebbe Secha is straightforward. And, I didn't even know that I was so ignorant about how videos are done. I had no idea about editing apps, nothing. I just did 15 takes till it went. I didn't know you can crop out a mistake. Grown man. So I did it again and again and again. And then I remember my sister, she all of a sudden put the smoothie blender on in the middle. I had to do the whole thing again. And finally, till I have a take that was clean, 3 minutes. And then it evolved week after week. I
Do
thought.
you still, like, now when you're making reels, do you still do them like 25 times to like?
No. Thank God, no. Now we're just ourselves.
Yeah.
We're not. If it's no big deal. We could just crop it out also. But we made the Dvar Torah and I used to travel for it. I thought, why should it just be the Torah? Maybe make Shtus L'Ulmazan connected with the Torah.
Yeah.
So that they'll want to watch it, even if they're not interested in Torah.
Yeah.
But still, it was a Dvar Torah, so only people interested in Dvar Torah used to watch it, even though it was cool locations.
Yeah.
But once it became a family channel, then the whole world could watch it, even if you're not interested in Yiddishkeit. You just want to see how a Jewish family lives. And obviously, we throw in Torah into our videos, and a lot of Jews come to Yiddishkeit from the channel. I was once in mikvah, and a guy comes over to me in mikvah, and he waits for me, and he says, I just want to let you know, and he has a beard, tzitzis, had a jacket. So I just want to let you know I'm a Baal Tshuva from your channel. I was like, really?
Whoa.
He says, yeah. Like a year ago, whatever, I stumbled upon your channel. I'm from Virginia or whatever. He's like, he still has like an accent. And he watched our content. He got so inspired, and he looked up and whatever, and he started going on Chabad.org, and slowly he came to Ador Torah. I put that video and I filmed him. I acted like an old man. I'm so sorry. I couldn't hear you. What do you say? I asked him if he minds being on camera.
Yeah.
And he said it again for the camera.
I have heard that so many times from Shluchim that they're like, we're very little blessed to always see the end result. Like, you put so many times, you put in so much effort, or they put they put in so much effort into doing something, and they're like, all right, what's the end result? And you never know.
Don't see it sometimes. You never know.
And then sometimes, I literally on the way here to Crown Heights, I was on the phone with the shliach, and he was telling me a whole crazy story about something that came back to the shliach 50 years later, after one of the original shluchim who was involved in the family had already passed away. And they had heard about this guy from the original shliach, and it was like,
wow.
They said, we didn't even think this guy really exists. Like, it happens all the time that we hear from shluchim that, they once in a while, and that's so much what the content of the book is about, is like, when you do get that glimmer of like what little sparks created, what little, you wrapped tefillin once.
You never know where that goes.
And sometimes I hear that, I was talking to Shleich the Kaisel, guy Weiss. He's in charge of tefillin at the Kaisel, and he said, when we interviewed him, he was like, I've wrapped tefillin on probably thousands of people already. He said, I can tell you 5 or 10 stories that have gotten back to me where the tefillin wrap led to the guy who's now with a from family, and I hate the word religious. I'm like so anti the word religious.
It's not religious. It's Shema Torah Mitzvahs.
More than that, I am very in favor of the word connected.
It's beautiful. Well, the Yid is always connected.
Tuned in and connected. This past summer, I'm in the airport, and I walk away for a second. My wife's sitting at the table. Drink spills over, and my wife is like, "I am a klutz." It's a guy sitting next to her, a nice guy with curly hair, and he says, "Ah, you're not such a klutz." So, obvious bagling going on over there. And my wife turns to him and starts talking, and within 3-4 minutes identifies that he's Jewish, identifies that he's clearly kind of not interested. All right, and we get to, all right, how about tefillin? And I come back at this point, and I look at him, and he says, "Oh no, I'm off." Quote, "I'm off the derek," DERK. I'm off the derek. And so I said, "It's okay." He says, "Oh, besides," he has a beer in his hand. "Besides, I'm drinking. It's not, no, this is the best time. This is the best time. You're loosened up a little bit. Perfect time to put on tefillin." So he's like, he's giving me arguments, and he says, "But look, the bottom line is, I'm not so religious. I'm out for a long while." So I told him one thing, and I love this line. In America, I don't know Europe, but America today, people are so into I identify as, right? I identify as this, I identify as that. I think it's a brilliant concept. So I told him, I said, since in America we can identify, I identify as connected. And connected means that, today I am plugged in. Sometimes the outlet doesn't work. Tomorrow I may not be plugged in. Yesterday I may not be plugged in. Today I'm plugged in. Today I identify as connected. What happened yesterday? My identity yesterday doesn't matter. My identity tomorrow doesn't matter. Today I identify. Today I identify as connected. And I said to him, I said, look, today you can identify as connected. What you're going to do tomorrow, don't worry about. What you did yesterday, don't worry about. Today, right now, there's nothing to talk about anymore. Rolled up the sleeve, connected. Today we're plugged in. So that's why I don't like to say, a shliach made someone, suddenly change their life and made them from. No. We're not out there to make them. We're out there to connect people to a deeper, more meaningful, fulfilled life because you're connected to Hashem.
But you're able to awaken people. That's the word. You can awaken people, and then they do what to do. No one's forcing anyone. If you're there as a dugma chaya, if you're just there as a living example, you give them the ability to see that, there is such a thing as a yid that keeps the Torah. Yeah. There is such a thing that you can do Shabbos. No, it's not 2023 and we don't keep Shabbos. See, this guy does it. This family does it. Let me also try it. You just give them that chance. I think there has to be that chance. And that's what the Rebbe created. In every single place in the world, there is that family, that Jewish family that's there.
That Jewish family.
A Jewish family that's there in North Dakota, in South Dakota, or wherever it is in the world. Yeah. And is there as that living example as this is possible in this Hupit city, in anywhere. It's possible here. And it's not just in the big cities. It's not just in New York and Jerusalem and London. Even here, you can be a Jew. And just being there, just a Yid being there, a Jewish family being there, gives that ability, and it has given the ability to so many Jews to realize that. And it's not about, we're not missionizing, or yes, missionizing. No, there's nothing to do with that. It's just giving them the yichelas, the connection, the ability to connect if they want. And
you have more stories in your channel? Like, is that like...
No, we have many stories.
But I'm saying like actual Baal Teshuvas like that? Like people like that?
Yesterday I was in a restaurant. And someone came over to me and said, you know what? I want to tell you something. Like, I thought he wanted a selfie or whatever.
Yeah.
He says, no, I want to tell you something. I'm friends with a guy that you featured on your channel once. You took a video of him, whatever. He wasn't from. He didn't keep, whatever.
Yeah. We're so used to a dialect that's so ingrained in us that the word from, and you know what?
He didn't put on tefillin every day.
Yeah.
Since then, he woke up and he realized who he is. And, he realized his position in his life. He's here on the channel, awakened them. And now he keeps Shabbos. He puts on tefillin every day. And I think that just shows that you don't know what effect you can have. And it's just by being sometimes. It's not, you don't have to do anything sometimes. You know that story of the Rebbe that people wanted to leave their I know as a kid also, but my little Mendel, he listens to this Mara that sings, says goodnight stories and stuff.
Yeah.
So she says this great story of Chassidim on Merkez Shluchis, and they wanted to leave a little city in France, I think.
Yeah.
And the Rebbe said, why would you want to leave so early? They said, there's no Jews here. The Rebbe said, there was a woman by the window that saw you guys, that saw Chassid of the Rebbe, and it was necessary to come back to Yiddishkeit, awaken.
Just seen. Just literally seen is these stories. It's like you can go. We could sit here and go on and on for hours.
I'll tell you,
of people, and that's why an Illuminations book. Used to ask how many shluchim we've interviewed. We've interviewed over 100, but from 100
every day is a story.
Every shliach that we've interviewed has new stories, and there are thousands more to go. And every shliach out there has stories happening every single day. And even when we create a 432-page book, it's so small.
It's first of all, you're tapping into something that's infinite. Because
exactly.
I'll tell you why. Because you can interview the shliach from today till tomorrow, but the amount of people he touched, their families have changed forever, and every day they're growing in their Yiddishkeit. They're
And
changing.
you don't even hear,
and their kids and their kids and their kids. It's just like,
and you don't hear the end result. And this is all, again, circle back to this concept that 50 or 70 years ago, the word, whatever you want to call it, shluchos, kiruv, whatever that word is, but Jews, reconnecting and Jews getting back involved, from whatever, identity or whatever place they were holding by, Jews reconnect. Like this is something so new, and I think, just post past, Gimel Tammuz, the past 30 years, just the number of the numbers of growth and the amount of growth and the growth in the Jewish world altogether is like, it's mind blowing. Just the past 30 years has been probably one of the most powerful moments of growth. Forget the Jewish world. I'm talking the entire Jewish history period. Like, when else in history did we go from like the bottom of like post-Holocaust to like the top? Like, right. You're watching a generation that is so tuned in. I mean, obviously, as the Rebbe says, we're getting so close to Mashiach. But if you think about it and you look at like every single person, in some way, like someone in their family has been touched by Chabad. Every single Jew,
every Jew in the world that knows that he's Jewish has been touched by Chabad. There's no question about that. Because Judaism today, the face of Judaism today, is what Chabad has done to every place in the world. Every city in the world.
Hands down.
Because if God forbid, if there wasn't Shluchim around these places, they wouldn't have even the local JCCs, right?
Mm-hmm.
God bless them. They wouldn't have the ambition and the competitiveness to grow. And and when you put a shliach somewhere, they feel like, oh, we have to make a party also. Oh, we also have to do it. It's not a competition. We're here to grow Yiddishkeit, and there's never enough.
There was a shliach that tells us the story that when he first came to town, the local JCC and the local community, they were so opposed to a public menorah. Guys, like, tone it down. Judaism's for the synagogue. Keep it where it belongs.
Right.
Keep it inside.
Like a church. It's just indoors.
Yeah, and then he's talking about how now there's like the JCC is, or whatever it is, the community themselves are pushing these public events and because like suddenly they start realizing the benefit and you're talking one small aspect of just public Jewish pride. And that
after the Holocaust, the Jewish world was in shock. That's how I look at it now, right?
Yeah.
After the Holocaust, the Jewish world was in total shock.
Absolutely.
Think October 7th, right?
Yeah.
After the Holocaust, the Jews, like the Jewish world, they couldn't be openly, passionately, unapologetically Jewish around the world and whatever. They were so broken. The Rebbe, harnessed that pain and said, with this pain, we're not going to be, even more depressed. We're going to bring Mashiach, because we have to bring Mashiach, because enough is enough. And
what I think is so fascinating about October 7th is post the Holocaust, you had some people who said, Yiddishkeit, I'm done, forget it.
Right.
The outpouring of growth in Yiddishkeit at this moment, in these weeks post October 7th, how many Shluchim, at the Kenneth of Shluchim, we went around and we asked Shluchim a simple question. But I also heard Chabad.org put out a survey, and I think the numbers are like 98% of Shluchim say that they've seen an increase of involvement in their activities.
I can tell from my channel myself. We have thousands of messages on our channel. Every day now, it's about 1,000 messages, thank God.
People want more. People want to get involved. They want to understand, what does it mean to be a Jew? What am I missing out on? Why am I not a part of this?
I'll tell you this. My wife made a video right by October 7th. She made a video, how to light Shabbos candles.
Yeah.
And I got 420,000 views on Instagram. And how to light Shabbos candles. People message us on DM, hundreds of people. First time lighting Shabbos candles in their life. First time. I'm doing this. I've never done this before. I consider myself Reform. I consider myself this. I consider myself that. I'm lighting Shabbos candles for the first time. I wrote a pound to the Rebbe, and I just a nachas report. Just a nachas report that the Jewish world has such a serious and so awake, and they want to connect. They want to connect, and we can see that. Every shliach has their community, but on our channel we can see, how people react to things, and people engage to things from all the messages and all the comments. So I think that's that just shows on a microcosm of what you're saying in your book. That people really want to connect to Yiddishkeit, and Shluchim are there for them. Without Shluchim there, how are they going to connect? Well, they have social media now, but still, you need to have a physical space also, like a yeshiva or a Shabbos meal or a family to be with, or you know what I mean, in a physical space.
And I think that circles back to Va'atam Telektu Echad Echad, which is, again, zooming in on not just that Shluchim are there for the individual, which they are, and that is really what Shluchus is all about. In fact, your father had an amazing line when I interviewed him. We haven't released this interview yet, but your father had something really powerful that hit me. He said,
He's very straight up.
Oh, a beautiful, beautiful line. He said, by the way, when I interview Shluchim, people say to me, like, don't you get bored? Like, what I've noticed is that every shliach is a completely different flavor. And every shliach is so perfectly made and fit for the place that they are, and they're located in the community they're dealing with. And it's sometimes you wonder, why would the Rebbe send this guy here, or how did this guy end up even post Gimel Tam? It's how did this guy, how did Hashkacha Yonah, how did divine providence arrange for it? But you see how somehow perfectly fit this person is.
That fact literally proves to me that Hashem exists. The fact that every shliach fits perfectly for their community.
It's magic. It's absolute craziness. But every shliach gives a whole new, it's like seasonings. Like every seasoning is a different flavor. And you think you heard shluchas from Rabbi A, but Rabbi B, it's salt, this guy's pepper, this guy's cinnamon, this guy, and everyone's got a totally different approach to what the word shluchas means. And while, everyone agrees, we are the Lubavitch Rebbe's ambassador to this location, but this one has, he approaches it, and his big focus is on this area, and his attitude is about, and everyone has their different attitudes and approach. And
some shliach is going to play tennis with the guys. Some shliach is going to have shiurim. Some shliach is going to make food and barbecues or cigar events, or
every shliach has a different approach. So your father said to me something really fascinating. He said that every shliach needs to have their top 10 guys. Their top 10 guys. 10 guys that they really focus on.
He has a lot of people that became Lubavitchers, by the way.
Yeah, he told me. But 10 guys that you really focused on, you zoom in and you give belev nefesh to those 10 people. Not that there are not 2,000 other people in your community, but if you find 10 people who belev nefesh you can give yourself over to, it's amazing. And that's how you have shluchim who have bal tshuvas, because people who have completely returned to Yiddishkeit, because they threw themselves into a person to unbelievable levels. They gave themselves over to that person in an unbelievable way. And by the way, that was a line that I haven't heard from any other shliach. Give yourself over to 10 people strongly. And for these 10 people, that's your. And again, it's not undermining or not downplaying that there's a whole community out there, but from these 10 people, you see that they really want you. They really need you. They really need your guidance, your approach. So throw yourself into these 10 people and make your job about these 10 people. Give them calls constantly. One shliach we interviewed by Tachtel in Chicago, right outside of Chicago. He's on a university. So his thing, every shliach has their thing that they do that's unique. It's a unique aspect, unique element, unique. His thing is he loves to call people up and just say hello. Hey, that's how beautiful. You doing? And people why is that? Why is it? And he said, you can't imagine how many people we've literally changed their week, people who were depressed. One of his best stories that he told us was that he had a student who was in downtown Chicago about to take their own life. And they had climbed to the top of a building, and they were on the edge of the tower with cell phone in hand, and all of a sudden
He gets a call from the rabbi.
He gets a call from the rabbi. Hey, how you doing? And he's like, that's it. That's all he needed. He's like, he didn't tell him this until much later. But much later, he said, Rabbi, I want to tell you where I was at and what I was doing, where I was at with my life. And just simply, because that was his thing. His thing was calling people and saying hello.
Beautiful.
And it just, so many simple moments, so many simple, messages that how they've changed lives. And every shliach adapts to whatever works for them.
Let's not forget also the shluchas.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
The Rebbe the Rebbe didn't send rabbis. There are many other organizations where
they send rabbis.
They try to do, the concept of shluchas, which is beautiful, and it's an inspiration of shluchas and fakat. It brings more Yiddishkeit.
When I do the interviews, so I love if the shluch is on the phone as well. In fact, your father, when I interviewed your parents, your father's on the phone for like 30 minutes, and he's like, I'm done. Here, speak to the Rebbetzin. and for the next hour and a half, me and your mother are speaking on the phone, and your mother is just, spilling stories. I think we were on the phone, me and your parents were on the phone for like 2 hours, and your mother's like, all right, I've got like 30 more stories that I can tell you, but I really got to run now. So call me again tomorrow. Call me again another day. And we were on the phone for 2 hours, and it's just, it's spilling of stories. And just like to think about, if no one recorded these stories. If no one recorded these stories,
well,
no
thanks
one
for recording them. I must say,
if no one put them out, no one told these stories. No one, like, they're just lost. And like, I once heard from a shliach at a Fabrengen in Crown Heights that he once said, and you're like, you don't even know if it's halfway true and if it's halfway exact. Sorry. And like to be able to like document them firsthand and put them out.
You're doing something genius. You're doing something so important.
To put these out, and one book is nothing. The vision. When Rabbi Cantor from Thailand, who was very involved in helping us with the book. So when he saw what we were doing, he was mind blown. But he said, his vision was that every year at the Knesset Shluchim, that when Shluchim come into New York, and they're here for the convention, that every single year that they should walk away with one of these books. And he's like, this shouldn't be a one-time thing.
No,
this should
be every year.
This should be every single year.
Well, it's easy. You interview so many shluchim. You just write it up.
When we put out this book, though, all right. So when I started putting the book together, the realization was, all right, how are we gonna, just figuring out the pages and the formatting and everything was, it was insanity, and it was a huge, and then we came to this whole magazine style layout, and we started realizing, all right. How many can we actually get into, a book, into a second? And we started realizing, if you're going to do a nice layout with pictures and everything.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Can you make volumes? I think that'll incentivize you. Volume 1.
No, that's the plan. That's the plan in my head.
Does it say on the book Volume 1?
I didn't write Volume 1, but book number 2 will write Volume 2. But that's the plan in my head, is that it needs to be. But here we are, we're putting the book together, and all of a sudden I realized, all right, we're featuring 15 to 25 pages of shliach, and now you do 25. We're already at 400 pages. Make your make yourself a book like this. How big can you go?
It's beautiful. What I like about the book. This is what I like the most about the book. Where you live in a fast-paced.
That was exactly the idea. Open up the book, read one story, close it, and you're inspired.
Not only that, we live in a society where people's attention spans are nothing, right? Social media makes it more and more. Social media, grinds it smaller and smaller and smaller by the year. Okay, our attention spans.
Is the camera still recording?
Our attention spans every year are being squeezed out.
Go from YouTube used to be a thing, like a really big thing. People would watch hour-long videos.
People don't watch it; they just listen to it now.
But then it goes to look what Instagram did. Instagram used to let you post now in a WhatsApp status is our 30 seconds. Why? Because they know that people are not interested in anything longer than 30 seconds. Even 30 seconds is too long.
No one's watching more than 30 seconds of his. 30 to 60 seconds depends how interesting the story is.
Yeah,
that's how good your content is. But
Instagram Reels 1 minute 30. Everything has to be chop where you lost someone.
So you could have easily made this book with 500 shluchim, 1 page each, and that's it. Which is beautiful, which makes it nice, and it's a good seller.
Yeah.
But what you've managed to do with this book, and take it as a compliment, is you've managed to fascinate them about one person and make each few pages, like its own book. And that's how the paragraphs are structured. It really feels like you're reading a synopsis of this shliach. And you can't do that with a one-liner. You can't do that with, you need like a vlog, in my terminology, that's what I understand. You need like a vlog of each shliach, not a reel, not a story. You need like a full and deep dive of what the shliach is, and then you can connect.
I've had this guy who keeps calling me, and he's like trying. He has this vision. Hopefully, he'll kick off and get it going. But like, they did it in Australia for Rah Rah.
Right.
Where they made a whole they made a whole movie on like going around with him to like all these places, but like every shliach you could follow them around and make a real life TV series on
their life.
Any single Chabad house, like just what goes on in the day to day, because every single day is another episode, another story, and
I'm sure a news channel will pick up on that. They just don't know about it. I'm sure a news channel will pick up on that and just go to their local shluchim and document their lives.
If they understood what the lives were.
It's super fascinating.
Look, you talk about like natural disasters and whatever. Like shluchim are always there. Like they understand they have to be there on the front lines, and like that's always when they get picked up. But when put in the news like, oh, Rabbi, so and so is here on the front lines of this hurricane or this this earthquake,
right. Shluchim are always at the forefront.
Yeah, that's why. Not because very simple. Like they know that they're needed. They're there in that place to help. They're to be helpful in whatever way, in whatever capacity, whether it's Jews or people who need anyone outside of that, anyone who needs their help. We're there for them. That's what shluchus is, and I think I think it circles back again to again just the underlining message which sits on the front cover of the book. But atum telektu echad echad, that in the end of the days, the Eibishter is going to come. Hashem is going to come. And he's going to find Jews who are living in Timbuktu, Timbuk 3, and Timbuk 4, and he's going to pick them up. But it's not like some magical vision.
That's why it's also beautiful that Shluchim are starting now on social media, and they have their own social media platform.
Yeah.
So, they can get X amount of people in their Chabad house.
Yeah.
Right? And connect to X amount of people in their community. Let's say 300.
Yeah.
Right? 400, 500 max.
Yeah.
You can have more people for your events, but, connecting in a real way.
Yeah.
Social media now helps shluchim connect to their community in a massive way. You can have thousands of people, watching your videos in your community, and they connect with you every day. That's what social media is about, connecting with someone every day. And that's what the Rebbe also did by sending families that they can connect to on a personal level.
By the way, it doesn't have to be like Instagram or Facebook. One of the stories in the book, in Tasmania, by Gordon in Tasmania. So he has this story about this lady who comes to Chabad after like 7 years. I think she came for Rosh Hashanah. And she tells Rabbi Gordon, she says, I just want to tell you why I'm here tonight. I'm not here tonight because I think you're the most incredible rabbi. I don't really know you. She said, I'll tell you what I'm inspired by you. She said, I'm on your email list. And I've never responded to your emails once in 6 or 7 years. You never took me off. You keep sending me stuff in the mail. You keep sending me, She said, obviously, you didn't give up on me. You believed in me. You believed in me enough that I'm worth it to keep reaching out to. And I think that's the bottom line is that even if a shliach doesn't always come out as like, he didn't have 4,000 people at his event, but, there was a guy who saw him on social media. The guy saw the pictures, 100%. And like sometimes just the buildup of like till they have the courage to show up, or till they like
100%.
Till they want to get involved, and that's that social media reach. One of the big things that I feel, by the way, that a book like this is for shluchim to be able to give to their community, because I think one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, that's true.
I think one of the biggest challenges, a shliach walks into a neighborhood, and as a Chabad rabbi, like people see him as like, okay, cool, new rabbi in town. All right, like let me connect to the new rabbi. But people don't relate necessarily to what Chabad is.
People probably see him as a threat to begin with.
So many do. Many people see Chabad as a threat. Many people are wondering like what.
No, they just came here to missionize. That's what they're brainwashed.
And they don't understand what is Chabad here to do. So what are your thoughts on the book?
My thoughts on the book?
I gave it to you at the Kenneth, so you've had a solid couple of weeks now to check it out.
So what I think is the beauty is as I said before, you take each shliach. It feels like you're taking on a journey to his life. It's not just a little page; it's a few pages on each shliach, and I feel like you gave that ability. You gave a voice to that shliach. Of course, so many shluchim are on social media, and they can create their own content of how they live, but personal, the way they open up personally in that book, share with you, that's a very, very rare glimpse that someone can get of how shluchim actually think and live. And no, kol hakavod on that. Really great job.
A lot of people say like, oh, this is only a Chabad book. And I correct them. I say it's not a Chabad book because it would be a Chabad book if it was
the heart of the Jewish world now.
It would be a Chabad book if it was just about the rabbis, but it's not about the rabbis. It's not about them. Yes, they might tell some of their own stories, but the essence of what the book is about the people and the lives that they have touched. Ba'atam telekto echad echad, finding those individual Jews and changing their life in a big way. And unless we're categorizing, I tell people, unless you're categorizing the entire non-affiliated world as Chabad, then this is not a Chabad story. This is Klal Yisrael's story. This is the story.
100%.
This is the story of again. I just keep going back to that pasuk. Atum telekto echad echad. That we are at the end of days. This is biblical prophecy playing out in the greatest way possible. What you are witnessing is not a Hasidic movement that came along and did care. This is not what this is. I'll tell you one thing.
Most of the Jews that have become involved in Yiddishkeit since the Holocaust is through Chabad.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So if they weren't born from, right?
Yeah.
Most of the Jews that came to Yiddishkeit.
And if it's not directly, it's indirectly. It's indirect. Meaning
it is directly, even directly. It's the majority of the Jews that came, to connect to the Yiddishkeit more. Of course, every Yid is connected with their neshama. The majority of them have come through Chabad.
The Jewish world will be totally different. But that's what I was going to say to you. That when it comes to like Shluchim coming to town, a lot of times Shluchim feel like people are questioning like what is the reason the Shluch's here in the town for? Like what's his. And I think to have a book like this, where you can, we specifically had one of our proofreaders. We had a lot of proofreaders and a lot of people looking over the book. But one of the proofreaders was specifically someone who was not Jewish, who didn't know Jewish words and Jewish terms, because I wanted a shliach to be able to take the book. Although we didn't write the book we didn't use every particular secular word. We kept to a Jewish lashon, but we had a beautiful glossary in the end to be able to if you need an explanation.
We do that on our channel also, by the way. Our channel, we treat it. Every video we make and every story we make, we treat it as if no one has someone. The true secret is, as a content creator, you have to have, if you're looking at the camera every day, you have to make the camera your friend.
By the way, you're the expert content creator. How are we doing as content creation?
This?
Yeah. I don't know, the book, everything.
Oh, the book is great. Now I'm saying you take the camera, and this is a trick. This is a good trick.
Yeah.
And you have to have in mind.
All right, guys, you're listening. He's going to tell you right now the trick to be maximum efficiency in content creation.
Yeah, basically this is what you do. You take the camera, and you don't look at it like your lens, because when you make videos, you can have millions of views. We have videos of 12 million, 14 million views. Yeah. So that can be intimidating sometimes. Who the heck is watching? And now we have a lot of Palestinians watching as well. And so you take the camera, and you have in mind one person that you're talking to. And I have in mind, I'm not going to say who, but it's my friend in Sweden. It's a friend of mine in Sweden. He's not affiliated. I'm friends with him. That's his connection to Judaism. But I just talk to him. So I'm just talking to him the whole time. And that's how you create content. You have one person in mind you talk to, and why are you smiling? Why are you chatting? Why are you this? You're just talking to a camera. Why should you be smiling? Why should you be...
You have that one person in mind.
Exactly. It's your personal relationship. If you're on camera, you should just make it official, right? You should talking to the camera, over to give a message, and that's it.
Yeah.
But if you want to be yourself, you have to talk to that person. I'm just envisioning that I'm just talking to him.
Yeah.
So, why did I say this?
I don't know. He's giving us good tips. Next tip.
So you talk to people as if, I talk to them as if they don't know anything. Even though that we have most of our followers are Jewish, and they know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But there's a big portion that don't know, and a big portion that aren't religious Jews. So we have like a glossary. Whenever there's a word that's that is foreign. So we put in brackets. We always put the word what it means, but we continue
on
using
the actual,
these
you're
words
saying on the actual screen.
on the actual text.
Yeah.
So if there's a story, we use the words. I'm going to speak in Yiddish to Mendel, or we're just going to say the words usually as we do. We're not going to change ourselves for anything, but we're going to put words over there to explain what that word means. So I feel like your book did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. The idea was we're going to keep the words there.
But people can still understand. They can still...
But we particularly wanted to have somebody who's from completely outside the Jewish world, somebody who's not Jewish, to be able to read it, so that when we hand it over to somebody who may not practically, bottom line, this is a book that anyone can understand. And I think I've heard this already from multiple Shluchim, that they gave it to people, in their community. They gave it to people, wherever, and they're just picking it up and they're like, literally, I got a text 2 days ago, Shliach, that he said, I gave it to somebody that I really wanted to get more involved in being part of the Chabad house, and he said, literally a week later, they call up and they're like, Rabbi, I'm in. I'm committed to you, and I see what Chabad is about. This is there's a lot of books out there. Not a lot, but there's definitely a couple books out there about Chabad. Susie Fishkoff did a book. Rabbi Eliezer in California did a book. There's a couple, well done books about Chabad, and also for sure about the Rebbe. You have multiple books about the Rebbe, but I don't think there was ever really, except for Malka Tauger tackled this concept in 2006. She made a book called "Excuse Me, Are You Jewish?"
Right,
black and white. And I even called her when we started this project, and she's like, "Go for it. I need it. It's needed. I can't do it myself, but something like this needs an update, and it needs a modern version." And to be able to have a book that you can hand off to someone, you're in your town, and say, like, if you want to understand why I'm here, you understand like what my purpose for being in your town is. Why did I show up? Leave.
Then they need to read that book.
Let me give this book as a gift. Let me give you this book as a gift. Let me give you this book as, and I'm not saying this like, hey, sell the book. I'm saying this because it practically, it starts to give a real, like, I don't make money on the book. I don't make a penny on the book. Not a penny.
Not a penny.
Not a penny. Not a penny. I've put in many pennies of my own.
I'm sure.
But I don't make money.
That's very impressive.
The whole project is to be able to support Dollar Daily, which in turn goes to support Shluchim. That's really what this whole project is about. This whole project is about, there are so many Shluchim out there who
So this book kind of gives a reason and understanding why people should give to Dollar Daily.
That's really the greater picture is
you have a big vision.
And in a local, by the way, in a local sense, it's not just Dollar Daily, but your local shliach, your local Chabad house. Why do you want to get involved with them? Why should you get involved with them? And why, I'm going down another rabbit hole, the tangent, but call me back in a second, which is that, like, I'll get a call from a shliach and they're really struggling. And the first thing I'll do is I'll say, just Google them, go to their website, the Chabad House website or their Facebook. And a lot of times I'll see it's like completely empty. And I'm asking them, like, where's your content? And they're like, yeah, I haven't gotten around to it in a while. I'm not so good at it. And I said, look, someone's going to look you up. Someone's going to, not involved with you. And they need to know who you are, what you're doing, what you're about. You need to be able to put yourself out there. You need to be out there. You need to be public. And I think the amazing aspect of this book is it really starts to, like, more than a page on a website that tells you what the Chabad Lubavitch Hasidic movement does. And, this book practically brings it down to real life, to real people, to real reality of this is what Chabad is about. This is about what the Rebbe is about. This is what Shluch is about. This is why I'm here in your town. This is why I'm knocking on your door. And this is why I'm asking you to wrap some straps from some cow skin, because it's going to change your life.
I think Jews in general, Jews of 2023, need to be aware of what Shluchim are here for, what they're here to do, and what their mission is. People can be like confused because there's so many different, Chabad is just trying to, make everyone from, you have to understand what the mission of a shliach is. The Rebbe made his mission very clear. Tut alt was gekent. Ich gib es über zu euch. People ask, where's the Rebbe? Now, after Gimel Tammuz, we need a Rebbe. The Rebbe gave it over to every single Yid, and especially the Chassidim, to bring Mashiach. And we have to fight to bring Mashiach. The status quo of the world is not normal. Not normal that October 7th happened. It's not Mashiach didn't come. And that's not okay. And the Rebbe's fight was to bring Mashiach. And this whole concept of Shluchim around the world is to bring Mashiach. And adding one mitzvah and another mitzvah, one yid and another yid, atem to look to echad echad, that part of bringing Mashiach, I think that's the most powerful thing.
You're originally from Sweden.
Correct.
All right. What year were you born?
I was born in 1994.
Okay.
I was born a few months before the Rebbe passed away, before Gimel Tammuz.
How many other siblings in your family?
I'm one of 11, Ken Hara. And
that's a big family.
Baruch Hashem.
That is. I was going to make a pun on the Jewish family, but that's a big family. Another Instagram account.
No, it's Baruch Hashem. And many of my siblings are shluchis around the world. I have siblings in Iceland. I have my sister's in the Shluch of Iceland, and my brother in Singer Island, Florida, and yeah.
So, as a kid, growing up on shluchos, what would you say was?
Oh, and I have a sister in Cape Town. That's also
all over the world. You find it in your family. So, as a kid, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of living on shluchos?
So you see, I never looked at it like an issue. We grew up with Baruch Hashem. My parents were very positive about it. I grew up in a home where, it was such an honor to be the Rebbe Shluchim. It wasn't like, we didn't like feel a pinch on anything. We didn't think that we're, deprived of a from Jewish community. Obviously kosher food is a challenge, but I think my parents winged it. They got shipments from France. And sometimes we didn't have milk, maybe, when we were really small. So we used to go milk a cow every Sunday.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of shluchim that they live out in the boondocks. That especially out of America, getting a hold of Israel milk is absolutely a challenge. It doesn't even exist to.
Well, in some places we've traveled to. So as you know, we travel with our channel, ThatJewishFamily. So we've traveled to places where milk doesn't exist because the cows over there aren't good enough to produce milk. For example, in Africa, in Ghana, they don't even drink milk. The locals don't even know what milk is, the real locals. And then you have for the foreigners that live there, you have long life shelf milk, whatever. Not kosher, obviously.
So what we get at Dollar Daily, what comes our way on the regular, are shluchim who are going through crazy challenges. And I think that's, somebody just asked me, what percentage of shluchim actually are writing to Dollar Daily? Because what we're getting on the regular, mountains of emails, I'd say, in the range of 50 to 100 a month of shluchim who are asking and looking for support from Dollar Daily. They can use that extra boost. And from that, there's always a huge chunk of shluchim who are going through crazy financial problems from, one shliach that just got this week. It's as simple as, look, I'm in Russia. I don't have any money for security, and I'm worried about our shul being, threatened. I need to hire some guards for the next while.
So I think that's the answer to the question you put before. I think security. That was growing up. That was the biggest concern the whole time. Safety. You need money for that. It's not your community doesn't. First of all, they don't understand the concept of shluchim. You're there to be there for the Jews that are very far from Judaism.
They see you as a communal rabbi. Like you're just
they just see just religiously. Why should they give money? They don't get it. But that's besides. That's besides the fact. That's another point. But security was every time I used to come to America as a kid, as a bigger child, I think from 12 plus, I said a sigh of relief of, I don't have to worry about security because there's a lot of Palestinians in Sweden. So there was always that.
I saw you posted some clip about that you were saying that in your child. I remember you putting something up like that to that regard. That your childhood was filled with worries and concern of. I think you were doing on that the library clip or something when those kids were banging in the library.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that went viral. So basically, as a kid, when we used to walk on the street, people used to scream at us the whole time for being Jewish. And they used to harass us, and sometimes, they got violent. But that concern was, because they live in Sweden, because we're from family living in Sweden. And the answer to that is obviously security. You need security. You need to have, sometimes the police used to escort us to shul during the intifadas. Every Shabbos, the police used to walk us all the way to shul. But you can't get that all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, you can't have, it's different, there's different laws.
So I mean, this is the type of emails we're getting. We're getting it from, I'm giving this example of security because this was literally something that someone in the past week that they said, hey, I need money to be able to hire a security guard. But then you get from Shluchim who, tell us that
that's really important.
Exactly, and then you're getting the shliach who tells us that he's got 3 days because electric's about to be shut off. You've got shluchim who tell us that their wife hasn't gotten a new sheitel in 20 years, and her wig is falling apart. You've got shluchim who are telling us that their kids haven't gotten new clothes in the past year, and there's always something going on, and then of course there's world situations that are affecting the whole matter. For example, how many shluchim in Israel are turning to us now? I'm seeing mountains, besides for the obvious causes of Chabad of Sderot and Ofakim and all the places that are naturally affected, and they need those funds. Then you have shluchim who no one's ever heard of. They're not the famous ones in the news. They're not the ones that anyone's speaking to.
I'll tell you why Dollar Daily. Why I think it's important. Okay, so here's the thing. Many people think that Chabad Shluchim are sponsored by Chabad Global, which is BS.
Exactly.
It doesn't exist.
There is no Chabad Global.
There is no Chabad Global because the Rebbe sent Shluchim to every country on its own, like you're going in a parachute. You're going to your own place. You've got to figure it out. And you're going to figure it out, and everyone does. You think positive.
By the way, there is to make it clear, there is a Chabad Central, but Chabad Central it's impossible for and they have funds once in a while. The Klarsky family, like every once in a while, I'll be able to send them over something and say, like, by the way, you might want to look into this. But in general, it just there's 4,000, 5,000 shluchim out there, and there's so many organizations and there's so many different institutions, and it's just.
No, but that's not their responsibility. Their responsibility
exactly.
Their responsibility is are different responsibilities. Every shliach is on their own lapel.
Yeah.
But Rabbi Kolarsky has been very, very helpful and has been like a father to many shluchim. And he's helped so many shluchim, and he tries to help as much as he can. But at the end of the day, the way it's structured is that every shliach is on their own, and they're going to figure it out. And if there's different foundations, there's so many beautiful foundations that could help shluchim, like shluchim that start up from the beginning, the Roar Foundation.
Exactly.
And Rabbi Kolarsky helps many shluchim around the world, struggling. And there's always these, we had from, what's his name, Bagalugov. He had this, for the mitzvah thing for every, what is it?
It's
wedding.
It's not active anymore.
No, it used to be.
Yeah, but
the concept of why I think your idea of Dollar Daily, I think is genius because it gives that shliach, the concept that there's someone out there thinking of him. He is in Yopetz, his community couldn't care less that he's there because they're all probably, they don't even like religion.
Exactly.
A lot of them. And they don't even like, okay, why should I give them? I'm giving to,
You're lucky I showed up for the Friday night meal.
Exactly.
Be happy I'm here,
That's the story of many.
Exactly.
That's the story of many. But at the end of the day, shluchim, there are a massive category of shluchim that their local communities aren't there to support them.
Yeah.
And growing up, to be honest, it was the same case. The majority of people helping, Chabad Shluchim in Europe, for example, it's going to have to be from international money because it's just a different dynamic. Over here in America, the concept of giving is common. It's known. It's it's from the Bible. It's a sign.
Yeah, people are comfortable to be able to give and give
even if
freely.
they're not religious.
Yeah, exactly. Just the idea of making a donation or making a charitable contribution, as you
Right.
call it, is that's an American thing. We as a culture resonate with that.
But in Europe, it's not as much.
Yeah,
that's for sure. It's definitely much.
I've heard that from a lot of European shluchim that giving as you have to kind of also Israeli. I've heard that just a lot of Israelis just don't understand the concept of like why am I giving? Like, if I find your own money, go
Yeah.
to work. You
People
know?
think like, okay, if I'm giving money, let me give to poor people that actually need it.
Yeah,
You're not a poor person. Let me give to someone that's poor. Shluchim are there to keep
Yeah.
the Yiddishkeit alive.
yeah,
And that's so important. We have body and soul. We have both. Baruch Hashem, but we have to nurture both. We have a neshama. Every Yid has a neshama.
mm-hmm.
The Shluchim are there to nurture the neshamas of the Yidden around the world. And of course, when someone's in dire need, physically, we also have to help them. There's the balance.
The other thing is that a lot of times Shluchim, have to put on a show publicly to display that everything's perfect and everything's fine, because the Mashiach's going to walk out to his Hanukkah party and his and his clothing is all torn. Then he can't operate that way. So a lot of people come to the belief that, hey, this guy's he's got to be doing okay. He's got to be he's not
Some friends of public figures in the city.
Yeah,
they're sure he's fine.
So and then you find out that these are guys who are really struggling and really going through a hard time, and I hear it time and time again of Shluchim who people would think that everything is perfect with them. In fact, last year we made a video here, actually in the museum, and we had a speaker who during the kiddush, and he said something phenomenal. He said that people automatically assume that you talk about what we would call the rich shluchim, shluchim who are in the wealthy neighborhoods, and everyone automatically assumes that these are the guys who are like they're the ones who've made it in life. They're the ones who if you came to a neighborhood that's that the average income is $500,000 and higher, for sure that shliach is doing great, and many times it is. But he pointed out is that everyone assumes that he's not the guy you need to support. And end of the day, one of the things that motivated me to really start focusing on this is how many shluchim I know who are just in really bad situations. I think one of the hit homes was like first Rosh Hashanah I was married. Me and my wife went to a shliach. Gonna leave out the location, leave out everything, but it was just like you could tell that the living conditions in the home were well below poverty line. You could tell the food situation. You could tell the wife Shaitel was probably 15 years old, and it was just like all said and done, it just was like, wow, like these are guys who are literally they were giving their lives and everything they had for this, and they could have done so many other things, and they threw themselves into shluchos because they literally cared that they want to be there for another Yid, another Jew, and they just want to help. And to be able to help people like that they have an extra couple $100 in their month, that's extra groceries, that's extra everything, that's extra that's the ability of between it may not be. Ber Lazar did a beautiful interview with us, and he said, I don't know which point it's going to cross the line between fixing all their troubles, or maybe it's not going to fix all their problems. But end of the day is what Dollar Daily does is it takes hundreds of people and it puts them in a pot, and it tells one shliach, we're giving you a hug. We're giving you love from hundreds of people saying, you know what, we're here for you.
That's
we're
beautiful.
doing what we can. And it's not done at one time. It's done every single day, that every single day another shliach gets a hug from hundreds of people and says, we believe in you. Keep going, keep fighting, keep up that work, because you're doing something amazing.
That's beautiful. This is what I feel. I feel like a shliach goes to a place. He's on his own. He has to make new friends in the community. And you have to remember they're human. You know what I mean? As much as they're a public figure, as much as they're the leaders of the community, and they do all the work, and they have their, friends and their community and everything, they're also, at the same time, they have to fight for their financials, which is a very, very hard field. They have to fundraise. They have to be, at the same time, they have to, run the Chabad house and run the Jewish organizations and everything in that city. And they also have to fundraise. And asking is a very tough call for many. And it's very belittling sometimes, even though you're asking, for a cause. And you have to face a lot of rejection. So when it's coming from someone else without asking, that's the nicest thing. That's the nicest, kindness one can do.
Yeah.
Is giving without being asked.
Absolutely. You wake up shliach wakes up one day, and they find
Boom, cha-ching.
cha-ching, their bank account went up, and like, was there a mistake? Was there it's a bracha there. It's a bracha there, especially.
So we need to get it to 100,000.
I'm in.
100K. I think 100K per day.
100K per day. Well, I think.
How many shluchim do we have? Like 3,500, Baruch Hashem?
Which you have, depends where you're drawing the numbers. If they're teacher shluchim or shluchim on Chabad house or whatever.
Around 3,000, right?
I think there's but we could. I'm sure there are plenty who that 100,000 would make the world of a difference. So
beautiful. It's not so much money if you think about it. If you
I'm sure $1,000. If we even got it to up to $1,000 today, right now we're right above 800. And but I
think you can shoot a little higher than that.
No,
a lot of people care.
But for sure, a lot of people care. But I'm saying, like, people think, like, when you start putting the $1 together, people think, what's my $1? What's my $1 gonna do?
Right.
Like, all right, of course I've got change. I've got a $1. I've got $32 a month. Like, how much of a difference does that really make? But the real answer is, you're joining something that actually does make a difference, because your $1 was part of something that actually adds up to something much greater and much bigger, and it has real impact.
Right.
So it's not just like, here, let me give a Chabad house, $5, $10. That's what I got right now. So that's great. That's beautiful, and I'm sure it goes into the pot. But when someone gets a check for a solid amount, that
look, your $1 becomes so much more impactful when it joins the pot of everyone else.
Correct.
You can give $100 to a shliach, and that's beautiful. But if you can make that $1, right, part of all the other dollars of everyone else, and you'll chip in together, and you dump it on a shliach, thousands of dollars, it's much more impactful.
Absolutely.
So your tzedakah becomes so much more meaningful.
Oh, 100%.
It's a genius idea. I'm signing up.
That's where it kicks off. So when we started Dollar Daily, 3 months in, there was a realization that, all right, beautiful, you're a charitable organization, you give money, and you keep people in as long as they're motivated, that they want to give to Shluchim, and but how do you keep people excited about it? How do you keep people excited about a cause of what Shluchim do? Like, all right, I gave 1 year to Shluchim already. Let me move next cause.
Everyone has their local tzedakahs. That's the problem.
Exactly, but beyond that, it's like, once I've already given one time before, I've had my chance to give to Dollar Daily for a year or two, and let me sign up for a different cause. Like, and I think what it boils down to is lack of understanding and a lack of appreciation what happens and what the world of Shluchus is all about. And in my years in yeshiva, I specifically remember 2 Shluchim. One came to Miami, Shayamar, Golden Beach, and he came and he was just speaking to Edif Abrangan. I've told him this several times, that he's sitting in Edif Abrangan and he's talking about how he showed up at the grocery store and he couldn't, there was no money on the card, and he doesn't know how he's bringing the food home for his family. And I don't know, not everyone says that they're so excited about hearing stories like that, but for me, that hit me like, oh my God, here's a guy who's literally out there, and his reality is he doesn't have food for his family not because he didn't want to have a job, because he made his job giving other people Yiddishkeit.
Right.
And
I think that's the point.
That hit me so hard, that what Shluchim face. And another shliach, similar story, Dov Yonah Korn, NYU. He told us that for bringing. I was in a Dar Torah, and for bringing, he says that he's dropping his kid off at whatever yeshiva, and the yeshiva calls him up and says, you got to come pick up your kid because tuition's not paid and we can't have your kid in school today. And he's like, look, I'm out. I'm doing what I need to do. If you want to keep my kids in school, great. If you don't want to, keep them in the office. I'll see you at 3:15. Then I'll pick up my kid then. But I'm not coming back. And there's nothing I can do right now. And again, it was just the reality that hit home. Was just like the challenges that some people face to be able to do what they do. And it's not because these people are failures. These
it's not like these people don't know how to hold a job. It's not
Correct.
like these people aren't smart enough. These shluchim are geniuses. So
Yeah,
many of them can be the biggest businessmen, but they chose to live a life for others.
Correct.
And if they chose to live a life for others, they got to be there for them. I think that's what it boils down to.
That's exactly what it boils down to. And I think, especially when an economy is a little bit, especially in America, it's like the economy in America is definitely not as great as other points in time. And Shluchim are the first to feel that. They're the first to feel the brunt of that. I was speaking to a shliach in a resort town last week, and he's telling me that he's like, we rely on tourists, and I don't have tourists here. He said, I don't have tourists. I don't have anything going on because of, tourists is our fundraising. Tourists is our and America's hit. We don't have. So it challenges all the way around that without that funding, without that. But now you have this organization. How do you keep people motivated in what's going on? And these two stories to me were like a wake up call, like wow moments. Just I know they're both financial and they're down moments, but to me they were just like motivating, like what the call of shluchus is and what it entails. And I think that the underlining word is self-sacrifice. In Hebrew, Mesiras Nefesh, the levels that people are ready to go to.
You understand the value of something once you see the sacrifice.
Correct.
So once you see the sacrifice of something, you understand the value of it.
Correct.
They sacrificed a Jewish community. They sacrificed having kosher food around them. They sacrificed their kids having friends around them. They sacrificed them having friends around them. If they sacrifice so much, it obviously means that they're doing it for a cause that's much greater than themselves.
Yeah, correct.
They're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for others.
So as I'm hearing these stories, I started talking to more shluchim, and I started in 2009. COL just opened up, and I approached them and I said, let's do like a podcast. Podcasts were like not even a thing then. It was just like I was 20 years ahead of my time, and I was just like, let's do a podcast with shluchim. It was called the Shluchim Show, and we started interviewing a few shluchim. I think we did like 20 interviews back then, and a lot of fun stuff, a lot of interesting interviews, and life got busy. I was a bacher, and it didn't last more than a couple of months, but it had its day. But right away I understood that there is such value over here. Shluchim have stories that are mind-blowing, and Shluchim experience things that because you're out in the boondocks and because you're there with all these Jews, Shluchim are experiencing things that people have no clue about. People, and I knew I wanted to come back to this. And once we had Dollar Daily open, once Dollar Daily was kicking, I realized this is the perfect shidduch over here to be able to contact shluchim, to be able to get their stories and put it out. And so the idea what we came up with was, let's create a newsletter or a weekly thing, and we just started recording the stories of shluchim and started putting them together. And the stories and the tales and what we're hearing is absolutely mind-blowing. And
every shliach has a story. It's crazy that if you take any shliach around the world, he's going to have a world of stories because he's living there.
But by the way, every shliach starts out the same way. You have the wrong guy. You don't want me. There are better people. There are people who are more inspiring than myself, and there are better people. But the reality is that it's not true. Every shliach, as you said, every shliach has stories, mountains of stories, something that's going on. And if they don't have stories, then
they just didn't think.
Either they didn't think, or what are you doing there? But the reality is that it's so rare that I come to a shliach that once you start talking, once you start hearing like what life is like, everyone has.
Have you ever heard a shliach that told you that his house wasn't a nest, or his Chabad house wasn't a nest?
No.
Or his menorah event everything was a nest.
And they're not lying. They're not lying. It's not like they. By the way, so some of them are so humble about it. It's just the Chabad house. It's a whole other story, and this is a whole other story. And you start hearing to them, I think they're numb to.
They're just so used to it.
They're so used to the living miracles. They are literally, some of these people are literally living miracles day in and day out. How their life happened and how things work, and just why does anyone want to hear these stories?